Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing my update on No Pan Left Behind project that I'm doing. I do have 146 palettes in my collection, so technically I should be working on 12 palettes a month. That way I can meet my goals. So I ended up picking what, 6 palettes from my last update. And then I have 5 extra palettes I worked on. So I definitely need to be picking 12 palettes because I definitely can, I think, meet my goal. So I don't know how I'm doing in this No Pan Left Behind. Definitely continue watching. Also, if you're not yet subscribed, please subscribe, give this video a thumbs up, and let's just go ahead and jump right in. So in my last update, I actually rolled in 6 palettes and I met my goals like super quickly. I think in the first 2 weeks, I met my goal. I'm so behind on this. Like, I definitely should pick maybe 6 palettes for this next time around because I'm filming in the middle of the month, which this should really be uploaded in the beginning of the month. So I'm only going to pick 6 palettes for this time around, but I do have to share with you guys that I have 11 palettes to roll out, even though I just rolled in 6 palettes from the last update. I ended up picking palettes from Shop My Stash videos, which I think I'm not going to keep picking Shop My Stash palettes because it's kind of hard and confusing to me, like picking palettes for this project and then picking a couple palettes for Shop My Stash. And then like once I meet those goals and using up all the pans in those palettes, I'm like going into my collection and picking palettes to keep working on palettes, even though I don't have an update like for you guys or filmed an update yet. I want to keep working on shadows, you know, not reusing the shades in a palette. Like, I'm not gonna meet my goal if I'm just reusing the shades. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I do have 11 palettes to roll out. Let's just go ahead and jump right in. So the first palette, so this is how I'm like marking them. I have a sticky note and I kind of do how many rows and columns I have and mark them how many times I use them. As you can see here, I've only used these 1 shadow each and then I was done. So I actually used this palette twice and met my goal on this palette. I do like the mattes, but the shimmers are kind of different for me. I feel like they're not as nice in this palette like I remember Menagerie Cosmetic Formula being, but overall I still do want to keep this palette. The next one that I definitely think I'm going to be decluttering is my Huda Beauty Wild Chameleon palette, and this palette I used every shade once, but this one right here I used it 3 times, which is the deepest shade in this palette. I do find that this palette is more on the drier side, and the shimmers weren't like super impressive to me either. So I think this is a palette that I will be decluttering in the future. I don't know. How do people do it? Like when you're using your palettes, like do you just declutter it? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do actually. Just going to declutter. So this is going to get decluttered from my collection. Definitely check out my Poshmark. I think I'll just be uploading it on there and go from there. Another palette that's probably gonna getting decluttered is my Unearthly Cosmetics Leather and Lace palette. I remember not really liking this palette and then definitely using it. I realized I just don't like this palette. The shades seem pretty dry to me, and then the shimmers are really lackluster. I used this palette 3 times each row, different day of the week. Again, these mattes are just super dry to me. There's other palettes in my collection that I'd reach over this palette. And yeah, this is another one that will most likely get on my Poshmark as well and will be decluttered. I had to check my notebook because I just checked and I have 146 palettes in my collection. And I'm at 17 palettes of using up this year, but we'll get there. But another palette that I worked on was my Tiny Marvels palette by Sydney Grace. And again, I've used all of the shades, except for, it looks like this shade I used twice, this one as well, and it looks like that was it. These ones are so beautiful. The shimmers and the mattes are pigmented, buttery, beautiful, very, very nice. Definitely keeping this palette, and I really like it. Another palette that I used, obviously met my goal on rolling out, is my ABH Primrose palette. This one I used all the shades once. This was very orangey toned palette, and at one point I was kind of tired of the shade. This palette and the Chameleon palette, I pretty much got similar looks because they're like warm tone palettes. But yeah, I definitely like the Primrose palette way more than this one. And I really enjoyed it. Super nice and pigmented. The shimmers on this one are way nicer than Chameleon or Leather and Lace. Definitely keeping this palette. I really enjoyed it when I used it. So this one's getting rolled out. And then the last palette, I think that's it. Actually, that's 5. I met my goal on these palettes like 2 weeks after I had filmed the video and uploaded it. So I ended up going into my collection and picking my own palettes to keep using and keep meeting like getting to my goal where I want to be. So I ended up picking 2 palettes during my Shop My Stash video. And again, I don't think I'm going to pick palettes in my Shop My Stashes anymore because I kind of have to keep track of where I'm picking stuff at. So I ended up picking the Cosmos palette from ABH. And this one I used a few times. It looks like this shade here I used 3 times. The dark purple I used twice. This, I don't know shade. This shade right here, it's like a green gold, I used twice. And everything else I've only used once. This shade is beautiful. This shade is also beautiful. This one is stunning. These 2 shimmers were meh to me. The mattes in here were pretty nice as well. And I really enjoyed this palette. Again, these 3 are beautiful shimmer shadows. These 2 are kind of meh. But overall, I do like this palette and definitely stay in my collection. It's really, really nice. And then the other one that I had picked during a Shop My Stash was my Color Brushes Muse palette. And this one is stunning as well. The shimmers are nice. It looks like this. This one, the brown, seems like the crease color. I used 3 times. This one is stunning as well. I don't know if you guys can tell. It's like a green to, I don't know, it's so unique. Green to purple. Very, very beautiful shadow. I reached for that one 3 times. This shade right here, I used twice. It's dark purple. Everything else, I only used once. Very beautiful palette. I just really enjoyed the formula on this. Again, I just want to keep things in my collection that I really enjoy and love to use. But I ended up also going into my collection and picking the Nomad palette by Juvia's Place. This one, I reached my goal and using No Pan Left Behind twice. I've been using like 4 shadows or so in my looks. Like this shadow was kind of a little too yellow, so I just mixed both of the shadows for one look. This I used to deepen the corner. Like this dark shimmer, I pretty much like applied it after my dark deepening shade, and then I just applied it like on the edge of that between like this color and the dark matte. I've been applying 2 shimmers on my lids. Like I'll put a light color and then something to transition into the deeper color to the outer corners. And I've been like meeting my goals. I believe, again, I use this 2, maybe 3 times, different looks. Super easy. Like this one's just a pretty much setting the eyeshadow primer, or like I think I just used it for my brow bone. But this is nice as well. I enjoyed this. Okay, I got 3 more palettes to share with you guys. An easy one that I met my goal on was this Baby Biba palette. I pretty much created one look and was done, so this one's nice as well. This one I did use a few times and I took it with me. We went out of town. This is the Sigma Magnifique palette. We went out of town for the weekend and I took this with me. This one I used this shade twice, this shade twice, and 3 times. So 3 different looks to use this palette here. And again, like I would apply this in the crease, this in the outer corner, this on the lid, and then I would use like this between the lid shade and the outer corner shade, just to kind of have, again, like a nice transition from light to dark. And it was nice. I really enjoyed it because usually I don't do that. I just do 1 shade on the lid, 1 shade on the crease, 1 shade on the outer corner. But doing like at least 4 shadows, 2 shimmers and 2 mattes, it's been working out really nicely. So again, I enjoyed that one. And then the last palette that I used was my ColourPop Plush Like Me. And again, I met my goal on this one. And this palette, I used this shade twice, right there. And then this one, I used it 3 times. And other than that, everything else was only used once. As you can see, most of the shades that I'm like constantly reaching for are like the matte, like neutral shades for the crease and an outer corner shade. This one's really nice. It's on the more muted side, but it's actually a really pretty palette. And I enjoyed it again. So this one's all done. I am working on 1 more palette, which is this one right here that I ended up just picking on my own since I had met my goal a long time ago. And I ended up picking this Odin's Eye Flora Story palette. I actually don't really like the formula on this one. I feel like the formulas on this and also the other one, I can't remember her name, Lauren May Beauty, her collab. Also, I was kind of like underwhelmed with the formula. I feel like it's not the same as like the Angelica collab and also the Christmas palettes. Like this formula and the other Lauren May Beauty one, like they're just like, you have to use a lot of shadow to create like a ton of pigment. But this one I've used twice already. I've created a couple looks. I have only used the brown, the purple, the light green color. I don't know if you can see the color. My camera's kind of washing it out. And then the purple over here. So I still have like 2 or 3 more looks to create to finish this palette here. But this is the only palette I'm working on. So again, I think I'm going to roll in 4 palettes to try to hit my goal on. And then I'll have another update for you guys in a couple weeks just to kind of get on track and go from there. So I'm just going to do the Pretty Random app and pick the next 4 palettes that I'm going to use for the upcoming weeks, and then I can put all these other palettes away because they've just been chilling outside of my collection. Okay, so we're gonna spin. So I got the ColourPop Plush Like Me, which I already picked, so let me just pick once. I should have took it out. I forgot to do that. I'll do it for the next round. Huda Beauty Wild Jaguar, which actually, I don't know if I may end up decluttering this palette too, because I remember when I first got it and was using it, I thought the mattes were very like dry. I don't know. I need to hide the slice after I pick them. Okay, I picked that. Okay. So Huda Beauty Wild Jaguar. I need to write these down because I'm going to forget. Pat McGrath Subliminal. Okay, let me write these down real quick. Okay, I got 2 more to go. Ah, I forgot to click hide slice. What is that? Cleona Dragon Fruit. Dang it. That's very bright. Okay, last one. I'm gonna do a few presses on and I freaking forgot to click hide slice. Dang it. What'd I get? Beauty Bay Wilderness. Oh my gosh. Am I gonna meet my goal on these? These ones are gonna be harder to use up. Okay, let me go ahead and pick those palettes and I'll share with you guys how they look. I was kind of thinking like, didn't I use this palette already? And I did. This was part of the Shop My Stash that I turned into a No Pan Left Behind. So I'm gonna re-roll, but this is super pretty. You know what? Maybe I'll pick another Pat McGrath palette instead. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, I'm back. And again, I have my Flora Story palette still that I'm going to be finishing off and working on. So the 4 other palettes that I rolled in, the first one is the Wild Jaguar by Huda Beauty. And this, I remember thinking that it was on the drier side as well. So hopefully it works out for me. So I took out that Pat McGrath Subliminal. I was like, I believe I just used this, and I did. So I ended up going with this Pat McGrath one. I'm gonna go ahead and use Moonlit Seduction, which the packaging is stunning. Since I already used the one I picked, why not use another Mothership palette? And this is what this one looks like right there. Very beautiful. And again, No Pan Left Behinding this. I've been trying to include pictures and honestly it's just been hard. I do believe I have a few pictures that I did take, but I need to start remembering like if I really like some palettes, at least like have 1, maybe 2 looks per palette for you guys, because honestly I forget to take pictures. So anyways, the other one that I picked was my Beauty Bay Wilderness palette, and it's this one right here. I kind of wish I didn't have this one, but it's nice. Did you guys see the new Lunar Beauty collab, which kind of reminds me of this? I was kind of eyeing it and I'm like, I have shadows that look like that in my collection. Like, I really like the Lunar Beauty formula though, but it's kind of similar to this. So yeah, I'm gonna be using this one. We'll see how this one is. And then the last one is my Cleona Dragon Fruit palette. I feel like I used this one too. Did I use it? No, I don't think so. Okay. Dragon Fruit palette. This one's definitely more of a summer palette, so we'll see if this one gets rolled out soon, like in the next month or so, or the next update. I feel like my camera's washing it out a little bit. This is an all shimmer palette, very bright colors. This will be fun. Definitely fun for springtime that's around the corner and going from there. Those are the 5 palettes I'm going to be working on the next couple weeks. Hopefully I can have another update. Actually, yeah, I'm going to be doing it no matter what. If I just have 1 or 2 palettes that are getting rolled out, it's fine because I need to be working on at least 12 palettes a month. so I can meet my goal of using up my 146 palettes that I have in my collection. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're doing a no palette left behind, definitely let me know how's it going for you, and yeah, let me know. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.